So this is just a follow-up of a video I made about the Austin bomber and also the Maryland high school shooting and how it was connected to Stone Cold Steve Austin, the WWE, and the upcoming WrestleMania 34. So I'll leave a link to this video in the description. Check that out and this video will make a lot more sense. But I forgot to mention a few things in this video, and I also learned a whole bunch more in regards to what I was talking about. So I just wanted to make this video. It's kind of unorganized, but what I'm talking about, it's all goes back to lots of stuff that's interrelated. So I talked about in that previous video, I talked about how the band Disturbed is the band who wrote Stone Cold Steve Austin's entrance song, and how just before Roddy Piper died, they released a video called The Vengeful One, and it was all about the putting the sunglasses on and seeing the truth of the world, just like in the Roddy Piper movie They Live. And then they even shot up the news people, and then Roddy Piper dies a month after that video is released. Then we got the Bridgewater shooting that was all about killing the news people, right? So it was all about They Live. That Disturbed song was synced up to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And what I didn't point out in the last video was that Stone Cold Steve Austin and Roddy Piper, just days before Roddy Piper died, they were in a feud somewhat because Roddy Piper, they had made fun of Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast called Piper's Pit. So yet again, Stone Cold is super fitting into all of this. Stone Cold has a feud with Roddy Piper just days before Roddy Piper dies. And Roddy Piper dies one day before Ronda Rousey's fight that she won in 34 seconds. And Roddy Piper had 34 WWE championships. And Maryland equals 34. That Maryland shooting happened 34 days after the Stoneman Douglas shooting. And it was a 34-year-old cop. We're going into WrestleMania 34. Even the Austin bomber killed himself 3 months and 4 days after Stone Cold Steve Austin's birthday. Ronda Rousey was all about the number 34 as well. A ton of stuff I mentioned in the last video. They even announced that her first in-ring appearance in the WWE, her first real in-ring fight, that will be, they announced that 34 days before WrestleMania 34, and that's when her first in-ring appearance will be. So, moral of the story, I wanted to point out that Stone Cold Roddy Piper had some beef just before Roddy Piper died. And also I mentioned how Hulk Hogan was significant to it all. And Hulk Hogan was synced up to something in regards to Philadelphia and earthquakes, stuff I was mentioning clear back in 2015. And I also mentioned how Roddy Piper was on the TV show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and a bunch of stuff back in 2015. And just before Roddy Piper died, Hulk Hogan also was in the news because of his racist comments that had finally surfaced after so many years. I think it was 8 or 9 years, but he had all of these racist comments on July 24th, 2015, just a week before Roddy Piper died. So Hulk Hogan was in the news. Stone Cold was synced up to Roddy Piper. Now we have Ronda Rousey coming out with her. She came out in the Royal Rumble with the tribute to Roddy Piper. And think about Royal Rumble in regards to earthquakes. There's lots of earthquake symbolism that's going on that's connected to bridge stuff that I've been mentioning for months now. And Hulk Hogan always called people brother. Right, think about the racist stuff. That's the mocking with it. Hulk Hogan always called people brother, and then he comes out, gets under fire for making racist comments. And also, if you read the Wikipedia article, it talks about how, some of the black wrestlers didn't even really care. Dennis Rodman said Hulk Hogan's not racist, but Mark Henry, he said he wasn't pleased with it, basically, that he was hurt and offended by Hulk Hogan's remarks. And remember, Mark Henry knew one of the victims from the Austin bomber. And Mark Henry is also going to be in the Hall of Fame this year. Mark Henry is going to get announced to be in the Hall of Fame this year. Also, Stone Cold Steve Austin, or when Hulk Hogan was announced into the Hall of Fame in 2005, he was announced in by Sylvester Stallone, which reminds us of Philadelphia in the film Rocky. And just think about that in regards to earthquakes and rocks moving, you know? And Hulk Hogan was also in Rocky 3. So there's a bunch of stuff that's connected to the film Rocky and Philadelphia. It's all interrelated. But what I what I also noticed with Roddy Piper that I didn't notice before was when you look him up, it talks about the feuds that he had. And it says his most notable rivals included Greg Valentine, Adrian Adonis, and Hulk Hogan. And how interesting, that Maryland shooting was 34 days after Valentine's Day when we had the Valentine's Day shooting at Stoneman Douglas. And then one of his guys is Valentine. I've talked about how it was synced up to Mark Henry because of Valentine's, because Mark Henry was born on June 12th, 6/12, and Valentine in Gematria equals 612. I think in the last video I kept saying Valentine's, but Valentine equals 612. And WrestleMania 33 was at Orlando, where the Pulse nightclub shooting was. Orlando also equals 34 in Gematria. But the Pulse nightclub shooting happened on 6/12, 612 days before the Stoneman Douglas shooting. And Valentine equals 6/12. And in Revelation 6:12, they talk about the great earthquake. So just think about all of that, and then think about Roddy Piper's other person that he feuded with, Adrian Adonis. And think about that in regards to Rocky. Rocky's wife is Adrian, and in the new film Creed, Apollo Creed's son, who Rocky helps or whatever, his name is Adonis, right? So Adrian Adonis, reminding us of the film Rocky yet again. And the actor who plays Adonis in the movie Creed is Michael B. Jordan. And clear back in 2015, I was talking about Michael Jordan being synced up to Philadelphia like no other, and the capital of the country, Jordan, was originally called Philadelphia until the year 106 AD, and then it was later destroyed by earthquakes. And I talked about Michael Jordan, the basketball player, first retiring on 10/6, and the word prophecy equals 106. Michael Jordan also had a bunch of connections to Valentine's Day, even that's why he wore the number 45, because Valentine's the 45th day of the year. And he wore number 12 one time in his career on Valentine's Day of 1990, I believe, because someone supposedly stole his jersey. So he has all these connections to Valentine's Day, earthquakes, Philadelphia. He even completely finished his career in a game against the Philadelphia 76ers. Lots more to go with it, but so I'm going to skip over some of this, but I talked about how there's possibly something to do with the movie The Goonies and Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper just so happened to the Goonies song was all about the wrestlers, and it had Roddy Piper in it. The Goonies are good enough. And there was a bunch of stuff synced up to Bridge, like the Goonies equals 117, and Cyndi Lauper's full name equals 117. The word bridge equals 117. But another thing that I noticed, we got a story about this Austin Bomber and how he wore pink gloves. Like they found him because he was wearing pink gloves. And before the Super Bowl, if you were following my videos, I was talking about the movie The Number 23 and the color pink and the synchronicity that was going on in my life with Alex Jones and the Gematria effect. And there was something, Alex Jones said, "There you go," right as I was reading, "There you go." And then I looked into Pink, and Pink's first hit single was called "There You Go." And I thought Pink would possibly be singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl because of it, because a big topic with the Super Bowl was all about standing during the national anthem and whatnot. And then Pink ended up a month later, they announced Pink to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. And Pink even, out of Philadelphia and whatnot. But in regards to this story, I just find it interesting that it comes back to this color pink and the pink gloves. And also what I documented in regards to the pink stuff was the death of Bobby the Brain Heenan. And in that post, I talked about how it reminds me of Pinky and the Brain, the two mice or the rats or whatever. Pinky and the Brain in Gematria equals 261. And the big catchphrase is the same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. That also equals 261. And in this Austin bomber story, the guy's name equals 261. And package bombs equal 261. And the bombings began 261 days after Trump's birthday, that's on Flag Day. So there's something important to it. Even Bobby the Brain Heenan died 204 days before WrestleMania, and his name, Bobby Heenan, equals 204 in Gematria. So it made me think, all these 80s movies, Stand By Me was really important a while back, and now I'm thinking about the Goonies possibly have something to do with it, with Cyndi Lauper, because Cyndi Lauper was even part of the feud with Roddy Piper. It just made me think of this movie Pretty in Pink that I haven't seen in probably who knows, 25 years or more, that I don't remember hardly anything about. But I noticed that pink equals 50, pink gloves equal 50. Molly Ringwald just turned 50 years old this year. And there's a ton of 50 that is going on with a lot of these stories. Stand By Me equals 50 in Gematria. A lot of the stuff that I was talking about 2015 was synced up to Super Bowl 50. If you've been following me for a while too, there was a big thing as the twin symbolism. I'm pretty sure that's a big reason why we got the death of Stephen Hawking that was connected to Sheldon Cooper on the Big Bang Theory, because Sheldon Cooper is a twin. But twins equal 50 in Gematria. Anyway, I looked up the Hall of Fame people that are going to be in the Hall of Fame this year for WrestleMania 34, and Mark Henry is one of them. Kid Rock is the celebrity one, and that's interesting because in the stuff I talked about with Pink, I had synchronicity to Kid Rock. And Kid Rock's been really important to lots of stuff. Even Donald Trump was supposed to be, it was supposed to be Kid Rock being roasted when Donald Trump got roasted. And then it was supposed to be Trump, or it was supposed to be Pamela Anderson as well. And Kid Rock and Pamela Anderson together, ton of stuff. But Kid Rock, really important. But the synchronicity I had with Pink, with Kid Rock, was a Simpsons episode called the Kill the Alligator and Run. And that just reminds me of a bunch of stuff that I talked about. There was a boy who got ate by the alligator in Orlando, Florida, that was seriously synced up to my own life in the area that I live in. It was the reason why I thought the Indians would play the Cubs in the World Series in 2016. And the Stoneman Douglas shooting connected to that as well, to the Cubs winning the World Series. But once again, it's got that connection to Orlando. And on the movie Happy Gilmore, that is really important to what I've been talking about with Carl Weathers, who plays Chubbs, but he also plays Apollo Creed. And Apollo Creed in the film Rocky, he dies on August 31st, 1985, which is exactly 99 years after the worst ever recorded East Coast earthquake in the United States in Charleston, South Carolina. And Charleston is where the church shooter was, right? Dylan Stormroof. And that's where Obama, 9 days after 9 people got shot, Obama sang Amazing Grace at Clementa Pinckney's funeral. And back in that time, I was talking about how Obama was 9 presidents after JFK, and if he got assassinated, he would be the 9th president to die in office as well. A lot like a 99. There's lots of 99 stuff going on with it. But think about the boy who got ate by the alligator, and I'm talking about Kid Rock in an episode called Kill the Alligator and Run. And in Happy Gilmore, Chubbs gets his hand bit off by the alligator, and then Happy Gilmore learns how to putt on the Earthquake golf course, and the building that falls over looks a lot like the Comcast Center in Philadelphia with the black cube on the top. There's also a highway bridge that collapses. And in the movie Oblivion, where the final Super Bowl is supposedly played, the 2017 season, or 2017, it says in the movie, could possibly be that season. That movie on the cover has the bridge collapse. And if you look up Tom Cruise, the star of that movie, Tom Cruise's first ever movie was called Endless Love. And that song is synced up to the number 81. I believe it came out on 8/1 of 81. And all this bridge symbolism is about 81. The Minneapolis Bridge collapsing on 8/1, and it fell 81 feet. And the main trusses were 81 meters long, and it took the emergency people 81 minutes to transport the people to the hospital. Think about Endless Love in regards to Happy Gilmore. There's the whole scene, the My Endless Love scene. Hopefully I'm not losing you, but think about the 99 stuff again. Adam Sandler was born on 9/9, and in that movie he falls for the trick to meet him at the 9th green at 9. And I also talked about how California became a state on 9/9 of the year 50. San Francisco in Gematria also equals 50. San Francisco has the Twin Peaks. San Francisco has the Golden Gate Bridge. San Francisco, California, prime area for earthquakes. So there's definitely something going on with all these 99 stuff. And there was lots of 99 in the original stories here, because I talked about how all of it's connected to the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, that Owen Hart, the wrestler, died 99 days after in the year 99, and he died on 5/23. 5/23 is the 99th prime number, and the Austin Bomber's name, full name, equals 99 in reverse reduced. And Mark Henry's birthday, 9 months and 9 days before the Austin Bomber kills himself. 99 was also really important to Queen Elizabeth, that I documented a long time ago. That's the day that she became the longest reigning British/English monarch ever, on 9/9. Anyway, after I document all of this stuff, I go to CNN.com and I see this article about Bozo the Clown dying. Bozo the Clown dies. And just think about it. In the movie Happy Gilmore, just before he learns how to putt on the Earthquake golf course, he gets mad at the clown and he says, "You're gonna die, clown," right? And then he beats up the clown. And then I'm documenting all the stuff about Happy Gilmore yet again, and then I go to CNN.com, and one of the first articles I see is about the guy who plays Bozo the Clown died. You know, how interesting. Bozo the Clown. It's synced up to the movie It that came out on 9/8, which was also the same day that Pink was born. Pink's birthday was 9/8. It was the 98th season of the NFL. The guy who played Bozo died 2 months and 2 days before his birthday. The word Bozo equals 22. The word clown equals 22. He died in Boston. Boston equals 22. Golf equals 22. And Happy, he loves hockey. He loves the Boston Bruins, right? Boston. And it was he died on the 79th day of the year. The 22nd prime is 79. And his birthday, 5/21. That's why it's even more significant. His birthday, 5/21. In Satanic Gematria, Philadelphia equals 521, which is the 98th prime number. And it's the 98th prime number. And also, if you write out 98, it equals 521 in Satanic Gematria. The movie It came out on 9/8, which is Pink's birthday. So You know, pretty interesting stuff. 9-8 can also be 8/9. This guy dies at the age of 89. The word it in satanic equals 99. See how 98, 99 are interrelated here? I even remember watching this movie with the guy that's like Mickey or whatever on the police academy with his Mickey Mouse watch. And Adam Sandler's in that movie and they're all clowns. It's called Shakes the Clown. I didn't have time to go back and watch it, but interesting. If you go from the day it came out to the day that Bozo died, 193 days, also 6 months, 12 days. Think about Revelation 6:12. Think about Valentine's. 193 is the 44th prime number. Earthquake equals 44. The trailer for It was released 44 days before the movie came out in America. Hulk Hogan's birthday, 4 months and 4 days after Wrestlemania. The word earthquake equals 44, so there's definitely something going on. It's synced up big time. Whether it's for this year or not, it sure seems that it's for this year to me. Like, there's been tons of stuff that I talked about in 2015 that has came true in 2018. So there's just a lot of stuff that's seemingly pointing to Obama being killed this year. Possibly it's for Trump. There are some interesting things, but it seems like Obama might possibly die this year. That was something that I was talking about a whole lot in regards to 2015. Obama, Pope Francis, and the Queen all had a lot of stuff that lined up for them that seemed like they might be, you know, dead in 2015. So possibly one of them three people are going to die this year. Or maybe it's connected to Trump in a roundabout way, with Donald Trump equals 523 in satanic, which is the 99th prime number. So a few more things here. Yesterday when I got off work, I came home and I turned the TV on and I was kind of just scrolling through the channels and thought it was interesting. I saw this Twins, the movie Twins was on, the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. When I looked at the description though, it said, a bookish Adonis and a gnomish hellion, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's weird. You know, earlier at work, one of the girls I was working with was talking about her aunt whose name is Donis. And I thought, that's a strange name, Donis. And I thought she said Adonis. And then I just documented about Adrian Adonis. And I was like, interesting. And now I'm seeing this with the movie Twins, and they write this in the description. And even if you look up the movie Twins on like Wikipedia or IMDb, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say Adonis in there anywhere. They're referring to the lover of Aphrodite. That's why they're saying that, a bookish Adonis. But it's just strange that I would see it with the movie Twins. And Twins is really important to whatever's going on. Somehow the twin theme has came back up. It's really, really important to this Rocky theme as well. And it goes back to Sheldon on the Big Bang Theory too, who's a twin, and he has his own religion that's about numbers. And he even, on the 11th episode of Young Sheldon, he even has a dream about the number 10, and the number 10 tells him that it's not the 10 Commandments, that the universe is binary. Binary, like Sirius is a binary star, but it's also a twin star. And if you look into Freemasonry, a lot of what it goes back to is to become the perfected man, which is Sirius in the middle or whatever. So, how interesting, you know? Anyway, on this movie Twins, they're taking this briefcase to Houston to this guy named McKinley, and then McKinley ends up getting killed. And for whatever the reason, I started thinking about Rocky and wrestling, and possibly it was from somebody's comment. I think somebody left a comment about Rocky or maybe a Zenith of the Alpha, but it was a connection between Rocky Johnson here, The Rock, and wrestling, and how it's connected to the film Rocky. And I just decided to look into it, and first thing I noticed is that he's from the Miami area. He even grew up in Broward County, which is where the Stoneman Douglas shooting was. And we had the Miami Bridge collapse. Just interesting, too, in regards to rocks. I talked about that a long time ago. Rocks, earthquakes, moving rocks. And when you look him up, though, you find out that in 10th grade, only 10th grade, he moved to Honolulu, Hawaii, and he went to President William McKinley High School, which is interesting in regards to McKinley here. And McKinley was an assassinated president. And in 2016, I talked a lot about the symbolism to Obama with William McKinley. After his final State of the Union, he came to Omaha, Nebraska, and then he went to McKinley High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And then later that year, we got the Alton Sterling and the Philando Castile stories that came out just, hours apart. They both came out on the same day, the story did. And Philando Castile was from Falcon Heights, Minnesota. And Falcon Heights, Minnesota is where Teddy Roosevelt gave a famous speech about carrying the big stick. And just after he gave that speech, William McKinley was assassinated in Buffalo, New York. And Teddy Roosevelt was his vice president, so he became the president after McKinley was assassinated. So Obama gives a speech in Baton Rouge that reminds us of Alton Sterling at McKinley High School, and then the Philando Castile story was in Falcon Heights that was still connected to McKinley. And it was about carrying the big stick, and Baton Rouge is named after the red stick of the Homa people. A lot more that goes along with it, but just interesting how it was connected to what I was talking about with Obama possibly being assassinated. And then all that 99 stuff is connected to what I was talking about with Obama possibly being assassinated. So anyway, I also was thinking about Dwayne Johnson and Dwayne Wade, the Miami basketball player. The word Dwayne equals 72 in Gematria, just like Rocky. The Rock was born in the year 72. And a whole bunch of stuff I documented about assassinations was with the number 72 as well. Even William McKinley equals 72 in Gematria. But a long time ago, I documented a whole bunch of stuff. President Trump equals 72. Taft, who beat William Jennings Bryan in the 1908 election, reminding us of the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series. He died at the age of 72, and William Jennings Bryan, he also lost to William McKinley 2 times before that. So, just interesting that Taft would die 72. Truman died in 72. He's the only president to die at age 88. Trump equals 88. A bunch of other stuff with that. And, see, I don't even remember when this post was from, but I even mentioned possibly Trump would die in 2018. So, there's even the Reagan assassination attempt. John Hinckley Jr. equals 72. And he tried to assassinate Reagan because of Arthur Bremer, who tried to assassinate George Wallace in the year 72. So, ton of stuff. Also in regards to Truman, is interesting in regards to the atomic bomb and the end of World War II. And that was 1945. Trump's the 45th president. It's the same year the Cubs were cursed by the curse of the Billy Goat. And then Back to the Future, they sweep Miami. Miami equals 45. Wrigley equals 45. Illinois equals 45. The word bridge equals 45. It's really big. So I told you it's unorganized here. So also The Rock is important to the Roddy Piper stuff, because when Ronda Rousey first came onto the WWE, it was in WrestleMania 31 that was in San Francisco, or it was in Levi Stadium in San Francisco. And he came out to dispute Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, and then he brought in Ronda Rousey to beat up Stephanie McMahon because he wouldn't hit a girl. So Ronda Rousey, that's kind of like where she made her first appearance, was in WrestleMania 31. And The Rock even makes fun of Triple H for dressing up like the Terminator, and when The Rock came out, or when Triple H came out in the Terminator stuff, they even showed the Terminator Genesis movie clip where the bus crashes on the Golden Gate Bridge. And yeah, so I don't know, just a ton of stuff here. Terminator Genesis equals 231, like national anthem. A bunch of the 231 stuff I was talking about with the bridge symbolism, and the Big Lebowski who hates the Eagles, and he's played by Jeff Bridges. I saw Villanova tonight. I haven't really been watching basketball. I turned it on. Saw one of the Villanova basketball players, his last name Bridges too, so interesting. Also, a bunch of stuff I was talking about with San Francisco in 2015 had to do with the number or the date of 5-2. That's the 122nd day, and San Francisco equals 122, located on 122 degrees west. Pope Francis equals 122. San Francisco, Pope Francis, named after St. Francis of Assisi. But The Rock was born on 5-2, and the WWE's precursor began in 52, and the WWE began on the 52nd day of 1980, 2/21, which backwards is even 1/22. And then we just had Super Bowl 52. A whole lot more. I'm going to skip over some of this because it is interesting, though, in regards to Boston and whatever. But the WWE is also headquartered in Stamford, Connecticut, which hopefully I'll find some links to the Chelsea bombing, trash bombings, which is fitting for this package bombing stuff, right? But that Chelsea bombing was synced up to marathons, the Boston Marathon. Just think about the Austin Bomber, the Boston Bomber. And I talked a whole bunch about the exorcism in Erling, Iowa, like one of the first famous exorcism cases. And the girl came from Marathon, Wisconsin, and Erling, Iowa was actually called Marathon, Iowa but there was already a town called Marathon, so they changed it to Erling. And it was founded by a guy who was born on 9/23. A whole lot of stuff with it, but it is interesting because it's in regards to bombings. I just haven't put it all together yet in my head. But Royal Rumble, that's connected to Ronda Rousey, and that's where she, announced, pretty much came into the WWE this year. Royal Rumble equals 52 as well. Terminator equals 52. Also, Ronda Rousey has this, her full name equals 220 like Donald John Trump, which is really important to what I've been talking about. There's something connected to Trump and this number 220 and how it's connected to the Jesuits. Pope Francis's birthday, even 2 months, 20 days after the Jesuit anniversary, and the Jesuits were founded when the 220th Pope was the Pope. I also noticed that Roddy Piper's full name in Gematria, the reverse way equals 316. Even more of a connection to Steve Austin. Austin 316. The Super Bowl was even 316 days before Pope Francis's 82nd birthday. 316 is a super important number. Jesus Christ equals 316. John 316. Roddy Piper, his full name also equals 107, like Earthquake. He was born on the 107th day of the year. Stone Cold equals 107. If you write out 316, it equals 98 as well. And Wrestlemania is on the 98th day of the year this year. Genesis, the way Terminator spelled it, equals 98. Oblivion, talking about Tom Cruise, that equals 98. Ronda Rousey got her final win on 8/1. That's connected to the bridge symbolism. Just think about her name too, RR, a lot like a 99. R breaks down to 9, so 99. There was that Fletcher Cox story that reminded us of Mexico and the Royal Rumble, where, what was it? I can't remember the guy who won it. One of the Mexican wrestlers won it, and it was connected to that. And then Trump and the Mexico guy, their bridges are kind of getting broken over building the wall, right? And we've got that story about their phone call on 220. The Mexican-American War even ended in 1848. Wall equals 48. Donald Trump equals 48. Even Triple H and Satanic Gematria equals 333, like Hot Ronda and like Philadelphia Eagles. The 2015 was the 333rd year of Philadelphia being founded, which is really important to what I've been talking about. Triple H, I noticed, is 48 years old right now. 48 years old. His real name, Paul Levesque, equals 48, also 156, just like WWE, just like World Wrestling Entertainment. 156 prime, 156 prime is 911. And his name, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, reminds me of the story we just recently got about Patty Hearst, the bank robber, or whatever, the girl who got kidnapped and then became bank robber. And the first bank that she robbed was in San Francisco, and she was born on 2/20. So there's a lot going on, but they are really interrelating a lot of these media stories. It's all connected to the same thing, but it's hard to explain. Also, I guess the last thing I'll mention is that Roddy Piper died 983 days before WrestleMania this year, and 983 is the 166th prime number, which is a big number I talked about with the twin symbolism and all kinds of stuff. Twin towers equal 166. The drone in the movie Oblivion is 166. Flag equals 166. Way back when it was super connected to the death of my uncle and all kinds of stuff. So interesting, 160, it's connected to 166, Roddy Piper's death, to this year of WrestleMania. WrestleMania and Francis Bacon even equals 166. And the date numerology of WrestleMania this year is 50. WrestleMania equals 50, just like San Francisco. So there's a ton going on. Hopefully that makes sense. Just wanted to make this video just to follow up with some of the stuff, try to organize it a little bit, put some more. I know I skipped over some stuff, but yeah, it's long enough. I got to go to work in like 10 minutes, so have a good one. Peace.